Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Sri Lankan Morning Show. Today we welcome back Dominic Ellis from Tomorrow Financial Solutions. Welcome back, Dominic.
Thank you very much for having me, Sahini.
Pleasure, always a pleasure. Today Dominic will be talking to us about something a little bit different. He spent a lot of time talking about building your first property. Dominic, I'm sure you can attest to that.
Yes, definitely.
But today he's going to be talking about purchasing an established property. So, Dominic, my first question to you. I'm sure that a lot of people out there at the moment are being quite conservative with any excess cash that they have, and I'm sure a lot of them want to keep that in their pocket. But given the coronavirus pandemic, would you still say that now's a good time to purchase a property?
Mm-hmm. Look, you're absolutely right. I have touched on first home buyers a lot, and I thought, look, maybe we might do something a little bit different, because there are those particular clients or clientele that might not have the time to be able to wait for a house to be built, because a house to be built can take up to 8 months, if anything. So there are the certain people that are wanting to buy an established property. Now, you said you touched on the question: is it the right time to be able to buy a property during this coronavirus pandemic? Look, I'm not a real estate agent, so obviously the knowledge that I know and the information that I'm going to speak to you about today is from what I've read and from what I've had chat to. I have quite a lot of real estate friends and family to be able to kind of pick their brains. Now, right now, though we are going through the coronavirus pandemic, it's in the buyers, so the people buying their property, it's actually in their favours at the moment, because what's happening is, if you looked 6 to 12 months ago, the amount of people that were actually walking through the property might have been 20, 25 people, which then meant that potentially 4 to 5 people were putting in offers for that particular property. Now, there's virtual walkthroughs, there's only one-on-one walkthroughs. Sometimes there aren't even the possibility to do a walkthrough. So the amount of people that are putting interest in that property is probably dropped 50 to 75%, which means the amount of offers that are going in could be only 1 to 2 offers for that particular property. So a vendor could be, so the person selling it could be asking for 600,000. The person buying it could say, well, my budget was 550,000. That vendor could have 2 offers, 550,000 and 560,000. So there are less people putting offers in, which in one area is like, well, now is the perfect time to be able to go buy that property, because you can potentially buy it for 10 to 15% cheaper than what you would have paid 6 to 12 months ago. Don't get me wrong though, that is on some cases. No, it's not on all cases where a property might be at 600,000 and you're offering $550,000.
Okay. So can you tell me, Dominic, what are some advantages and disadvantages of purchasing a property that is already established? I'm sure that, whilst building your first home, of course, comes with its challenges.
Yes.
I can also understand that purchasing an established home, where other families or other couples may have lived in it previously, can also pose its own risks, I guess we can call it.
Yes. So when you are purchasing an established property, there are definitely the risk of how old it is, and the condition of the property, and I guess the people living in living in that property previously. On the other side of it, though, some people choose to buy for the location. So for example, if your work is in the city and you wanna live somewhere closer to the city, for example, Chadstone, Mount Waverley, it means that your commute isn't as long, and jumping on the train is far easier than being able to, if you are living in, let's say for example, the outer suburbs, like if, for example, you're Pakenham, where the commute is a lot longer. Right. when you are looking at the areas like Officer and Pakenham, you have that opportunity to build your own home, and it's like you're the first person to put that key into that door, and it's your own home. Whereas when you are moving into the inner suburbs, you are looking at properties that you could have had 3 to 4 people live in that property prior to you living in that property, but then again you're a little bit closer. In the other fact of the matter is, if you are looking for something a little bit closer to the city, the price is obviously going to be a lot more expensive as well. So it's, I guess, working with your budget and working along with how your life is at the moment. And if you are looking and you do work in the city and you don't want to be commuting that much longer, then obviously looking at something a little bit closer to the city. Obviously there are suburbs on the western side as well, to be able to buy an established property.
And I guess it's a bit of a trade-off, isn't it? You can live a little bit further away from the CBD, and you can have the opportunity to be the first person to turn that key in the lock and to own your own home.
Yes.
Be the first home owner of that home.
Yes.
Or you can lessen your commute, live closer to the city, but of course, as you mentioned, you may be the third or the fourth family to live in that home.
Correct.
So are there any grants for, let's say, first home buyers who have decided, you know what, we've got the money, shortening our commute is our focus. We want to purchase an established property somewhere closer to the city. What's on offer for that demographic?
Yeah. So with anybody purchasing a house that is more than 5 years old, you are actually not eligible for the $10,000 grant. Okay. So the way that it works is obviously subject to subject to the client. But the way the $10,000 grant works, if you are purchasing an established property, is that it needs to be under 5 years old. So the construction completed under 5 years, and the person selling the property needs to be the person that had built the property. So that is the only way that you can essentially get the $10,000 grant. Now, for example, buying something in Chadstone or Mount Waverley under 5 years old is going to be slim to none. If you can catch that one here or there, then that's perfect. But the opportunity for Chadstone, Mount Waverley, as opposed to Officer Pakenham, the chances are obviously quite greater in those particular areas. Now, in terms of, there are obviously still stamp duty concessions if you are buying an established property. There are some terms and conditions with that as well, and it is subject to the price of the property that you are purchasing.
Okay. All right, so that's a lot of information.
It is.
Swirling around in my head, and I'm sure it is the same for our viewers out there. But of course, I'm sure that they can get in touch with people such as yourself for some financial advice.
100%. Look, I do. I guess it is that trade-off. Do we have time to be able to build our own home?
Yes.
Or are we looking for something to get into pretty much immediately? Mm-hmm. And with the market at the moment, it is it's kind of it's a much of a muchness, because if you do want to go obviously purchase an established property, the favour is in your hand. But then on the other side, if you are wanting to go and construct a property, you have the $10,000 homeowners grant. Home builders grant. You may be eligible for the $25,000 home builder grant as well. Okay. So there are those type of conversations that need to be held as well. And definitely my biggest advice, that like what I say to all my clients, being a first home owner, being a first home owned specialist, is speak to your finance advisor, speak to your local branch. If you've got any friends or family, have a chat with them, see how they did it. But definitely don't hesitate to get in touch, because I'm always a listening ear.
Of course. Well, look, it seems like there are lots of enticing options out there. It really seems to be a buyer's market at the moment.
It is.
Especially given all that's taking place.
Yes, 100% it is.
But Dominic, thank you very much once again for joining us. I feel that every time you grace us with your presence on the Sri Lankan Morning Show, we always walk away with a great thought process, lots of ideas swirling around our head. So it's definitely beneficial to have you come on the show. So Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure to always be on the Sri Lanka Morning Show with you and be able to share my information that to my local community as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much to all of our viewers out there. I hope you've learnt something, and we will see you again next time.